Hi. Oh, sorry. I turned my music off. Okay. You should have all these finished. Not the whole thing, but you should have all of your evidence and your context finished. Some of you aren't going to do this until Friday all at once. It's not made to do that. That's why I'm dividing it up. Don't you dare gripe about having assignments that are too big if you leave it till the last day. Just saying. Grouping. Okay. Whenever you write a DBQ, you have all of these different documents, yes? You have to group them however you want. It's hard to teach grouping because grouping is going to be kind of based on your thesis. If you have all of these documents, okay, this one is by Hernan Cortez about the Aztec. This one is by Columbus. This one is about kind of overall, okay, natives. This one is about the decline, the death of natives because of population. This one, you have Aztec from the point of view of the Aztec. Did you notice? This one, kind of overall. This one, oops. This right here, city of Aztec. You have what it looked like, what Cortez says it looked like, and then you have Cortez fighting, okay? Here, this one is about a totally different people, Cuba, the natives in Cuba. And then here you have deaths. And then this one is about Cuba. Can you group them? From what I just now did, just right now, you should be able to group them just based on what I just said to you. Can you do it? You can group that way. You can group based on point of view. I gave you some hints as to who's writing. Some are conquistadors, some are historians, some are Aztec accounts, native accounts. You can group if one document, well, not one, but if several documents are about death, you can group that way. If several documents are about economics, you can group that way. If a few documents are about culture, the way that the natives are different than the Spanish, you could group that way. You could group based on religion. You can group in any number of ways. And that's why I say it's hard to teach grouping to you because it's based on your thesis. You read your documents, right? And then you look at them and say, okay, here's my thesis for whatever question I'm answering. Then group the documents because in paragraph, I was going to say chapter. You're not writing a book. In paragraph 1, I'm going to use the same example I used yesterday. If I'm writing about COVID year, right? In paragraph 1, I'm going to write about the fact that, what was I doing? Oh, the topic was like, it's hard teaching during a COVID year. So paragraph 1 would be looking at documents that back up my first proof, which was teaching online at the same time as in person is hard. I'm going to look for documents that prove that. Maybe documents, which I have, showing that online grades are lower than in-person grades. Did she say that? Yeah, I did, because it's true. I might put a document that is like an email from a student saying, Miss, can you come into a tutorial session? Because I'm confused. I can't get the information just from this. Sure. You're going to group all the documents that prove whatever point you're making in that paragraph. Grouping is hard to explain. It's based on your thesis. You can group however you see a grouping. When I have kids group things, sometimes kids do what I did and look at the subject of each document. You're going to talk about the Aztec in one paragraph. You're going to talk about the Spanish in another paragraph. Okay. You're going to talk about Cuba in another paragraph. I don't know. Some kids will talk about religion in one paragraph, and you'll talk about the documents that focus on religion. You'll talk about cultural differences over here. You'll talk about educational differences. You'll talk about technological. You group the document or the documents however you see it. Everybody sees it differently in their head. And there's not necessarily a wrong way. Unless your document doesn't prove what you say it does. If you group your document and say, this is a technology document and it's about sacrifice, it's not about technology, guys. It's about religion. Sacrifice religion. That's not technology. So it's only wrong if you didn't group it right. People always see different things in documents. It's kind of like art. DBQs are proving a point. It's an argumentative thing. So it's an opinion that you're trying to prove. You have to use the documents to prove it. Grouping. What you're going to do next is go back through all of these and you're going to look at this document again, this one by Cortez. You already wrote some things down. You already have a thesis sentence about this document. Group it. You're going to say this document goes with document. I'm just making this up. I am making this up. Don't copy me or it's going to be wrong when I grade it. You're going to say this document. You don't have to write the whole sentence. Just put number 4, number 6, number 8. And how are they grouped? Is it economic? Is it religious? Is it political? Is it technology? How are you grouping it? Is it by people group? Is it death? Is it conquer? How are you grouping? So you're doing 2 things now today on the grouping. You're putting numbers down because you're grouping documents. Okay. The second thing you're doing on this line is telling me how they group. Again, I am making this up. I don't know that these group with number 1, but you're doing this. I just made up numbers. And then you're doing this. If I can spell right. Technology. That's it. That's it. Then, outside information. You have to have some outside information. Things that you pull from your own brain to help prove your DBQ. Dang, I need to double check. If I remember right, I can't remember if it's 1 point or 2 points for outside information. I can't remember if you just get 1 point for 1 piece of outside information or 2 points for 2 pieces of outside information. But still, outside information is stuff that you know about that is not in any of these documents. You can't do outside information if you haven't learned the history first. You have to know your history in order to do outside info and context. You can't just rely on the documents. See, the DBQ is interesting because kids act like the DBQ is so hard. To me, it's not. Everything you need to know is in here. Sort of. You have to know some history too. What could be some outside information? This is one that is easy and you do already know. This takes thought. You're like, I don't want to do this. I know. I'm sorry. It takes thought. And guys, if you need or want to come into a hangout at 3:15 to talk through some of this with me or with each other, that's good. That's what my kids in class are doing. They're in little groups. Not really, because I hate group work. But they just look at their friends and go, what do you think outside information for this one is? They think together. As you learn how to do this, it's better to do it together, not Googled. Guys, I know what I have taught you and what I haven't. And the only outside information that you should be putting in here is what I have taught you. You're like, but I know other things. This is an easy one. The deaths. Sudden deaths. What is the topic here? Estimated Native American population in Mexico. Okay. I know, outside information. Native Americans were dying of smallpox and stuff. No, that's a document. It's not outside information. I know, Native Americans were dying from war and stuff. No, that's a document. Think. At the same time, well, a little later, we have England, France, the Dutch, starting to move in and settle North America. Okay. Now on this one, you can freebie, you can use this because that is the answer. There are other things, okay? There are other things you could pull from, but this is the most obvious answer. So I'm not going to count you off if you copy what I'm saying right now. In fact, I'll know you watched the video if you did. That being said, England, France, the Dutch, they're moving into North America. What's happening to the natives up there? Something different? Mass death as well. Natives fighting because of war and revolts and taking over the land and illnesses and all kinds of stuff there too. With outside information, you're pulling in things that you don't see in the documents that prove your point further. If one of your paragraphs, oh, my pen is open. If one of your paragraphs is about Europeans causing Native American deaths when they came to the Americas, you don't just want to look at Central America. Now, if your paper is about Central America, stick to Central America, bud, okay? But you don't just want to stick to that, all right? If your paper is about Native American deaths when Europe came, the most obvious outside information is to pull in England. Oh my gosh, I almost died. Is to pull in England, to pull in the French and the Dutch up north in Canada. You could even go so far as to do the 1800s with the Trail of Tears and Andrew Jackson, which you should all know from the 8th grade. Outside info is where you pull in different stuff. And this one is the most easy one because, again, in theory, you should already know this. The deaths that occurred because of England, France, and the Dutch, and America in the 1800s from, the Trail of Tears especially, most famously, definitely. So what you're doing with outside information is trying to think of something else. You already have, let's look at this one. You already have, let me make it big so you can see it better. I'm sorry, I didn't really think about that. You already have a thesis here, okay? Massive numbers of Aztec were cursed by a plague. Let's not use this one. Let's go to this one. Here he is. Okay. Look at Cuba. This guy was a strong Native American chief who unsuccessfully fought for the Spanish for control of his land and has become a hero to all of his people seeking to stand up to authority. You should already have a piece of evidence from those pictures that proves he unsuccessfully fought for control. You should have a piece of evidence from these pictures that proves he's become a national hero. Yes? You should have evidence 3. I skipped one. He's a strong Native American chief. What is another? Dang, I didn't put outside information here. Who cares? What is another piece of information that could help you prove this thesis? I didn't put outside information there because there isn't any that you know yet. That's why I didn't do it. But you're looking at other things in the whole world in history. Think about other places where the same thing happened, okay? You're looking for outside of the documents info, outside of the documents. It cannot be from the documents. So today, you're doing two things. You're writing outside info in here, yeah, and then you're grouping all of your documents, okay? I've had kids in the past that have said, okay, do you see down here the groupings? Well, document 1 matches with these 3, but see, document 7 is going to have the same numbers. Yeah, they should, because you're grouping them. You're telling me what documents are going to go together. The AP test is not going to have them grouped. You have to do that. If you don't, it's just a whole bunch of documents that you're like looking constantly going, oh my gosh, I have to prove this point. Where is it in the document? If you already have them grouped, you've like written out a couple notes and it says like group or document 7, 6, and 5. That was weird. 7, 6, and 5 are all about technology. Then you're writing your essay and you're like, okay, document 7, let's look at document 7. How does that prove my point? Oh yeah. And then you just keep writing. Document, what document is it? 6. Oh yeah, what document? And then you just keep writing. It's kind of like this right here. What we're doing is kind of like you're making notes for your DBQs. Okay. This is due, this whole thing. It's due today. Major grade. Now, it's going to take me a little bit of time to get them graded because I'm actually like reading them and responding. I'm looking for my pen, my other pen, but that's okay. So the documents. I'm writing things down. This whole thing is due today. So if you haven't been doing the evidence all week, oh my gosh, you better get busy. If you have, then this outside info and grouping should only take you 30 minutes maybe. If you have questions, guys, I'm here waiting for you to ask questions. Okay? Okay. That's it. Bye.